It's huge, really. I think that's what's been awesome about this team. We kind of preach it every single day, but just the brotherhood, the connection, regardless of how this situation plays out, just knowing that the guys have my back gives me confidence to just go out there and be myself and play to the best of my abilities.
With you and Jayden are obviously different people, different quarterbacks. There's no Austin out there. Noah's dealing with injury. John Bates. Like, how different could a game look like with you than Jayden out there?
Again, we just have to wait and see. But, what's been nice is we've been able to kind of keep things very similar, regardless of who's playing at the position, even during preseason. And if it comes down to it, Cliff will ask me what things I like, what I don't like, and then we'll just roll. But from that standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, like with our abilities across the quarterback room, like it's been nice the fact that we can kind of keep the same system throughout each guy.
Marcus, how have you felt physically, and kind of can you walk us through the preseason, and when did you feel really like you were back to yourself? Yeah,
I would say I started to kind of feel like myself over the course of the last couple of weeks. It's one of those things with the tendonitis, you just kind of have to rest. And the team was willing to kind of let me do that through training camp. We do a great job of getting a bunch of walkthrough reps. So for me, from a mental standpoint, like I felt like I was always engaged. And once I felt good physically, I could just kind of come back and roll with everybody.
Marcus, I know the Raiders have some familiar faces to you, like Max Crosby, but they've had a lot of change on that side of the ball on defense. What have been your impressions of them just through the first couple of games of the season?
Yeah, I think one person that's really stood out to me is Devin White. I've played against him a few times in my career, but I think him just being around the ball, flying around, it's impressive. And, you add Max. Max is going to get his. He always has. Being around that team for a couple years, like you understand that he's kind of the heart and soul of that team. And he's going to give it everything he's got, every single play. So we understand that. And, they got a young back end, but they're great. I think they've played really well. They had tough couple tasks early on in the year to play some of these guys. And, Caillou was here with us last year. I think he's an awesome player. And he's really showed out and made a few plays and it's kind of splashed. So, again, we've got our work cut out for us. But I think for us, it's just about doing what we do and staying ahead of the change and executing.
Marcus, for you, what would you say is the biggest difference between preparing in case you need to play versus if you do wind up starting knowing you're going to play?
Well, for me, I've always tried to approach it the same. So I always try to approach it like I'm going to play. That way, if the scenario happens where I'm given the opportunity to play, nothing changes for me on a week-to-week basis. So my routine stays the same, and I think it just kind of creates that normal procedure for me, and it allows me just to go out there and play and not have to worry about, okay, I got to do this extra, I got to do that. Like I just kind of stick to my process and allow that process to work.
Being a starting quarterback for so many years in the National Football League, you obviously are a competitor and you've always wanted to be that starting quarterback. To have that opportunity possibly again on Sunday, because you don't know how many more times that could come down the road here. What is that like for you to maybe be that starter again?
Well, just grateful. And I think for me, I've just been very thankful for my time here and being around these guys. It's such a fun group. But like you said, you never really know what this is going to look like through the course of your career, and every opportunity you get to play, I'm just grateful for it. So if it comes down to that, I'll be excited to play, and I'll be really looking forward to it.
Hey, Marcus, you know Jayden very well. What do you tell him in a situation like this? Because obviously he's going to want to try and get out there. What do you tell him, if anything, about what he needs to do or how to approach it?
Yeah, I think it comes down to if you feel like you can do what you normally do, then go ahead. I've been in situations, scenarios like this where you try to fight through it and maybe you're not playing like yourself, and it's hard because you want to be able to be out there for your team and kind of tough it out, so to say. But I think at the end of the day, like, you want to be able to be the best version of yourself, and we understand Jay's going to do everything in his power to be able to be ready to play. But I think that's what's cool about our quarterback room is that we're so close, and regardless whoever's in there, like, we're going to support that guy. So we always tell him, man, just be you, and if you feel like through the course of this week you get back to that point, great, and we'll support you. You'll be ready to roll. If you need a week, then that's okay. I'll be ready to go too. So it comes down to just having that communication and just making sure he understands that we support his decision, whatever that is.
And when you went in last year, you had a couple really good games. What about this offense do you feel suits you well?
I think there's a lot of aspects. I really feel like for us as quarterbacks, like we have a really great connection with Cliff. I feel like through the course of those games last year, I could kind of get a feel of like how he wanted to call it. And when you have that type of connection with your play caller, like you feel good about what's coming in. So I think for me, I love the aspect of being able to control the tempo of the game. We can huddle, we can get on the ball, we can do all sorts of different things. But I think for all of us, it's just being confident in what's being called and knowing that Cliff's going to put us in a situation to be successful.
How much is Jayden still in communication with you and the other quarterbacks and Cliff throughout this process?
Oh yeah, every day, and I think it's important to, you know. I think for all of us, like we don't ever want to deal with the uncertainty or what's going on. So just being able to understand and being transparent about what the situation looks like. So yeah, again, like we said, we communicate throughout the day, see how he's feeling. I'm sure he's tired of everybody asking him how he's feeling. But again, when it comes down to it, if he's ready to roll, we'll support him and give him everything he's got.
And just having been through this similar scenario last year ahead of the Bears game, do you draw anything from that? I mean, I know this is not new to you, but just the way everything worked out here, do you take anything from that process?
Well, I think it just for me personally, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, just sticking to my process and trusting that process. I've been through this journey for quite some time now, so just understanding that the way that I've prepared for years has given me the confidence to go out there and play well, and just continuing just to lean on that.
Hey, Marcus, you've been able to step back and look at this offense through training camp, through preseason, through these first two games. What have you seen about this offense that you really like?
I just love the fact that we're putting our guys in situations to be successful. I think we're not really pigeonholing guys or they got to, like, you only run this route or you only do this. Like, our guys are able to do everything. And the versatility of that allows some cool things within the system to allow guys to just go out there and play. So I love the speed at which we play. I think guys fly around here. And just the unselfishness, really. Like, you know, guys are going to touch the ball maybe 5 or 6 times a game, and then there's going to be times where maybe you're only going to get it once. But these guys are willing to do whatever it takes to win, and I think for me that's quite enjoyable.
Hey, Marcus, I mean, you just mentioned a moment ago about the support that you have for, you know, from your brothers and from your teammates here. I noticed that you all have a really hard time getting over a loss. So how do you focus, whether it's you're starting on Sunday or not? How do you just get that focus to potentially lead the team in week 3?
Well, for me personally, it's flushing it the next day. I try to give myself a 24-hour window of just like really reflecting on what that game was and how we can be better and where we can improve. And then from there, it's like just move on. It's always nice to come back on the practice field. Thursday night losses are tough because you have an extra couple of days to sit there and kind of just like listen to everybody talk about it and how how come you didn't do this and that. But at the same time, I think when you're able to take a moment and step back and look at it, you can find ways to improve. And when you get back on the practice field is when it just kind of allows you to do that. And that's when I feel like, for me personally, I love just getting back on the field and getting back on the grass and just finding ways to improve.
Last one. Marcus, obviously with Jayden getting hurt, there's this, everybody's out there, you know, when he's running, get down, stay out of traffic and all that. Your guys been known to run yourself. How did you ever come to grips with the risk reward of that, or have you come to grips as a competitor with that?
It's definitely a happy medium. There's a balance, and as a competitor, you always want to get that first down or make that splash play or never give up on a play. And it's hard, and I think over time, it's just things that you have to experience to be able to kind of find those windows of, okay, I got to get down here, or, maybe just throw that one away. And it's hard because for us in a quarterback room, like we all try to go off of our experiences and explain to Jay, hey, here's the moment where maybe you can get the ball out, but at the same time, like we never want to take away his superpower, and that's being able to create and use his legs. And the more that we can kind of create those things naturally, and allow him to just be himself and play instinctually, that's when he is at his best. So the more that we can just continue to hone in our own experiences and explain, like, hey, maybe this is where we could have done a little better job, but at the same time, it's just allowing him to be him.
We'll get rocking. Hit you on a few roster moves first to get the day started. So John Jones to IR. He'll miss some time with his hamstring injury. The good news is he will return, but that's tough for now, but we will get him back. Another familiar face to some that we signed, Preston Smith, who was here from 15 to 18, and we've been visiting about him for a while, so we're really pumped to have him here with us. And another brand new guy, but on the beat in here, so Tashawn Reed. Any questions with the Raiders, we're going to direct them right to you. So you'll take all those today. So welcome, man, and part of the crew. So all that said, let's get started today and bring it on.
And what is the plan for Jayden today and then the rest of the week?
Sure. So Jayden had a good rehab session today. He also threw out on the field. He won't practice today. And then as we get into Friday, I'll give you an assessment of where we're at after we go through practice on Friday.
How much are you finding that you're having to hold him back from doing too much at this point?
Yeah, we're going through that process. Like, that's him as a competitor. But we also, recognize the importance of the person, the player, what he means to the franchise. So we're also going to be smart, not just fast in this assessment. But this is a player that's absolutely wanting to do everything all the time. So it was a good start to the week for us, throwing the movements at the position. So I know we've talked a little bit about return to play, but there are position-specific skills that you do for each one. So he hit those today, which was a good start. And then, like I said, I'll give you the final update on Friday.
Do you need to see him back on the field with the rest of the team?
Yes.
Before you feel okay?
Yeah, I would. It's important, timing, reps, the movements. But it was a good first step to it, Nikki. But, we'd have to get some reps for sure.
And then for the O-line, after watching the tape, what's your general assessment of where Connerly is at? And is there any consideration on using Wiley at either guard or tackle on the right side?
I think we want to stick to the competition is the central theme in what we do. If I'm looking at two games, there's things that I also liked. In the opening game, we ran the ball well and effectively into that space. So, we got things to improve on for sure, not just at one spot, but at a number of them. And we plan on doing that.
Hi, Coach. How do you prepare for a guy like Max Crosby after playing against Micah Parsons last week? Does that help prepare your offensive line for come against a top-tier edge rusher?
Yeah, not so easy, guys. He is an absolute savage of a player. I love watching him, the energy, the effort, the skill of it. Somebody that, I just respect a lot. And so his game, the way he plays, the style. So overall, we'll have to all play better, than we did in our last performance. And that's what we certainly plan on doing. But, he has garnered that kind of attention for sure.
With Marcus, you guys were slow in bringing him back, making sure he was back from the Achilles. From what you saw last year and what you've seen from him, the confidence level I know is high. What do you expect from him?
Yeah, if called upon, we would certainly expect Marcus to deliver in the fashion that he does. He has been like a real standard as a commander, player, teammate in elite ways. And so each player that we would feature, they'd be featured in not exactly the same way, although mobility for him and Jayden and, kind of coming up in similar styles, but not exactly the same also. So for all the guys, we have, ways that we'd feature them and how we would play if called upon, and that's what we'll do. But, we have, the utmost confidence in him.
Dan, could you elaborate on the signing of Preston Smith and kind of the role that you envision for him here?
Yeah, we've actually discussed Preston for a while. Edge, he's strong, proven pass rush ability. We like his size, too, and so with Dietrich being injured, if we had another chance to add another person to that group, it seemed like the fit. And so I've followed him for a long time. I feel like it's one of those players I've known but didn't have a chance to coach and always have wanted to. And so when he was able to come in for the workout and be here, it just felt like a good fit. He saw him hanging out with Kerrigan, for them playing some years together and having that person, okay, this is what we do here, this is how it's going. I'm hopeful that Ryan can help on that onboarding process, but this is a veteran guy who will get up to speed quick. You can tell he's a bright guy, but you can tell he really worked hard to get himself in shape to be ready for the op when it came, and he had a few of them.
Dan, obviously Pete Carroll played a huge role in your development as a coach, going on to be a head coach with the Falcons and again here. How valuable have the lessons that you learned from him been as you navigate your career, and what's it going to be like to face off against him this week?
Yeah, we've gone against each other a number of times, over the last, 10 years or so. What did I learn? Man, a lot. And he helped me grow. He helped me develop. Like most, times when you get to help bring someone along, confidence, belief. So I'd been a defensive line coach for a long time, and I'd left for 2 years to go to Florida, brought me back as the DC, and so that's the type of confidence and belief. For him, I think, like his rock-solid philosophy. That's such an important thing that you need as a head coach. Sometimes as a play caller, you're just this unit, just thing, but as the head coach, man, it's everything. And so two of the very best that I've been around in instilling a philosophy was Pete and Nick Saban. And they both, everybody knew how you get down and what's required and what it's about. And so that was such an important time for me. And also doing it in your own authentic way. I'd certainly learned a lot from him, but I would, think it's more in my flavor of how I do it. But it was certainly a really important part for me.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
As a defensive line expert, what would you say makes Max Crosby as effective as he is, and what's kind of adjustments do you need to make to account for him?
Yeah. I think the first two things that come to mind when I think of him, this is like elite effort. And like, okay, yeah, I've heard that a lot, but I'm saying it's at the upper range of it where he can, the stamina to go hard over and over again. He's got great bend. By that, I mean he can slip and slide in between a tight end, a tackle, and then the skill work of it. He loves pass rush like Vaughn, and so for those two, kind of doing the pass rush summit, there's a level of studying and preparation. Instincts, I would say, are a big part of that, but man, do I love the first step quickness and just the absolute dog of a competitor. Sometimes you don't win on the first move, and you have to stay relentless, and that is absolutely been part of his career.
Hey, Dan, I'm going to steal one of your phrases. Ball is life, right?
Yes.
You've done a great job, protecting the football, but in terms of takeaways, not so much so far. What have you seen from that, and how do you generate more?
Yeah, I thought, and I'm glad you asked that because it's such an important part of what we do. In the Giants game, I thought the defense took some shots. We had maybe a few chances at one. There was one that got called back on a penalty on a Quinn interception. Thought another one, Revo might have forced one. We didn't get it, but there was some good. I thought J.K. had a real violent shot at it. Not so much in Green Bay to where we had our chances to go get it. But you do have to take them, takeaways. Not something they're just going to give to you. So we got to be mindful. So in one game, it didn't go our way in terms of getting them, but I thought the attitude and intention of taking them was there. In the second one, we didn't meet the mark. So it's a really important part of it. I thought in the Giant game, almost won with Nick Ballore on special teams, by the covering, the hitting, and that's another phase that we, kind of think of the covering on punts and the covering of kicks as like a defensive phase to it, the returns as like an offensive phase of taking care of it. But it's really important, and we know it helps us win. You can't be, reckless to just take a shot at the ball and not, tackle and hit. But, we got to improve in that spot.
Coach, last season, this team seemed to respond well to adversity. It seemed like when you all got knocked down, you not only got up, but you got up better than you were before. I wonder what you all take from last week as you bring into this week and moving forward.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. It's going to come on the adversity side. I was pleased that we stayed in the fight because it didn't feel as close even at the fourth quarter to be in it. I wasn't surprised that we're tough, but you have to apply those lessons. What didn't you like? How do we go about it? It didn't feel the same energy and just flying all over the tape and finishing and fast. And so those are the ones that you have to acknowledge and say, man, this wasn't to the standard that we all set for one another. Not saying we were soft or any of that. Just there's a level that we want to get it to, and that's when we really hit our strides. It's going to happen. The injuries part of it, getting the loss is part of it, but you also learn to stand and fight, and that's a good skill to know, and we got a lot of guys that are down for that.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon, Dave.
When it comes to seeing the field the right way and communicating defense, offensively as a unit, how in practice can you kind of ramp up the competition there, the challenge there to get that better for game days?
Yeah, just what you said, the competition. So, at a practice today, we'll have some just good on good that we go. We don't do that in the short weeks, where it's slowed down. But the first week we did it, so we'll do some competitions on Wednesday, just not scripted, just like today we'll have a third down competition. Tomorrow we have a red zone one. And that helps a lot because it's unscripted, it's looks, you talk, you communicate. Sometimes it's trying out a new play, sometimes it's, working through the kinks. So it is part of what we do, but out on the practice field, that's where you get better. And it's such an important part of what we do, so we're really pumped to get back out. Never a good idea to take a loss and take a whole bunch of days in between, so we're ready to get back in this game.
Signing Chase Edmonds, somebody who has a little bit of familiarity with Cliff Kingsbury, is that a player that you foresee once he gets a little more comfortable here having a regular role in the offense, or is he more injury in case of injury?
No, we definitely have a vision for it. How long that takes, we'll see. But getting into the system here, he came in and did a really good job in the workout. So we brought a few running backs in to take a look and see where it was. So we wanted to find out, swings, pass game, catching, movements, what that looked like. But it'll take a few weeks to see where we stand on that. But we're pumped with the backs. Chris is certainly ready, to get back into action for him. But we're pumped to have Chase here as well. And I'm still learning him. Cliff had a chance to work with him before. But it's good to have him here.
Dan, sorry if I missed this. With Noah Brown, you said earlier that it was probably a long shot for this week, but do you have a sense of his timeline and when he's going to be able to get going?
Yeah, he was kind of like in the Jayden spot where I'm saying I'm working him through to see where he is. He won't practice today, but I'm more encouraged than I was maybe when we spoke Monday that it's, hopefully turning sooner than later. And so that was kind of where we are with John, where are we at. And so we'll have a better assessment probably for Friday.
And obviously Noah was very helpful for you guys last year, but unfortunately for him, he's got an injury history throughout his career. How much did you guys factor that in terms of how you built out the rest of the room this offseason? Yeah,
he's an elite competitor, and you don't want any of these guys, to have anything that they go through with. Sometimes we know there's re-injuries after an injury. That's no big state secret. But I love the competitor, love what he stands for. I think once we get him through this, we're going to get him to the other side of that. And for instance, the one last year was so rare, of an injury that you can't chalk that up to a soft tissue or those things. So I'm just excited to get him back out there and get going again. He's one of our most competitive guys and adds a lot to us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Along those same lines, John Bates is also experiencing injury. Any update on him? And if he does have to be out, how do you all have to fill that void from his blocking ability?
Yeah, we all know how John's so rare in that way on the blocking side. So it wouldn't be in exactly the same way. You don't just plug and play into that spot. I feel like we're pretty diverse in how we would have to go after it, but it would be something that would be difficult in that spot. We'll see where we look like by Friday. Like I said, as I'm going through with John, I'm in that same spot of where are we. We're going to make good decisions for the guys, and they're working hard. Having the extra time is helpful, meaning a longer time in between the two games. But there's a couple that I'm still in the wait-and-see mode and position-specific work. Then we'll get into, tomorrow. Today we're going to be indoors. Many, did things through the walkthrough, and then see where we are tomorrow. So I'm still on a wait and see with a couple guys. You're welcome.
Hey, Coach.
Hey,
in
Don.
looking at the Raiders, what comes to mind first in facing them? Geno Smith is under the center. What do you see in that team?
Yeah, there's a lot to like. They have obviously talked about Geno, he's got one of the strongest arms, can absolutely rip the ball. I think they got really good tight end group. They've got speed and route runners at receiver. I think an excellent running back, especially in terms of breaking tackles. So when you put all those together, run game, tight ends, receivers, strong arm quarterback, you can see that's what I thought of first. And then on the D side, I like, the ends, the rushers that they have. Kuntz is back. They've got veteran, strong linebackers down there that are inside. A safety that we know well in Chin, who's just down in the box and tackling well. So when you look at them, you see, featuring players, identity, style, attitude, and a lot to like, in terms of who they are, and certainly with the running back and the tight end, these are some really talented guys, who are young guys just kind of on their way up. So we'll have our hands full.